Lockdown was really tough on a lot of us. Some of us were cooped up at home in situations that you need relief from, and there was just no relief because you were stuck at home. And some of us are still dealing with the long after effects of what lockdown did to us. And that's what's happening in today's budget. Welcome to Budget with Ira and welcome to Budget Bestie. Budget Bestie is a series on my channel where I take a look at other people's budgets and see what I would do if I was in their situation. This is not financial advice. However, they may choose to apply some of the decisions that I have made, but they do so at their own risk. I take a look at somebody else's budget, have a look, see what I would do, and these are just different scenarios, but they may be scenarios that you can empathize with and you might be in a similar situation. So I want to give you hope that having a budget can work. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at today's budget. So the blurb we got for today's video is I'm a single parent to a 6-year-old with autism and ADHD. Breakfast Club is essential to her disability down to routine. So that's really, really important that we stick with that. We do claim a DLA, which is included in the income along with some help with the benefits. This is why my council tax is so low, and it is really nice and low. I went through a mental health crisis during lockdown and spent so much on junk purchases, hence the catalogue and credit card. I've had therapy for this now, stupid now, trying to correct this behaviour. This is a really considerable budget. There is lots of little debts. This is a really specific kind of debt that I don't know if you'll necessarily see so much in other parts of the world, but in the UK we have these things called catalogues, and you order from these catalogues on credit and they come to your home and you're kind of stuck with the items, and the rates of interest are insanely high. So when you feel like you're only doing like £300 here, £400 there, you end up doing that with lots of different creditors, with lots of different really high APR rates, and they don't ask for very much money back as a minimum. And they do that as an exercise to keep you in debt for longer. Sometimes your minimum might even be lower than the interest that you're paying. So you're getting further and further into debt every single month. And it's a really, really difficult scenario to get out of. And I feel like this is the situation that this person has found themselves into. That mental health crisis and living through lockdown was tough enough. You shouldn't still be thinking about it now. We need to close the door on that. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at this budget, and Bestie, let's get budgeting. Okay, so let's get cracking with this. So what we want to do is the old budget, so the one that they're currently doing. So let's start with income. So there's multiple streams of income, but it all comes up to £2,406.97 on average for the month. So there's that. We've got a load of bills to do. There are more than what is on there, but I'm just going to make do with this sheet. So sometimes you have more bills than what this accounts for. And what I would probably do is just cut that bit out and have extra bit, but you know, you don't have to do that. So let's start off. So they've listed their first bill as a Patreon, which I assume is for me, but it might not be. It's £12. And then we've got bin cleaning, which is not something you have to do, I don't think. So bin cleaning costs them £3.49 a month, which I think is a bit of a bargain actually. And then their rent is £800, which I think is pretty good too. Breakfast Club for their kid is £20 a week, which obviously works out as £80 a month. So I'm gonna put that in. So they've said that that is something that is really, really important to their kid in terms of their routine. So it's not something that can necessarily go. Then we've got Apple Bill, which is 79p, which I think is reasonable. Then Debt Calculator, which I think is an app, which like shows you where you're at and stuff like that. I don't think you actually need it. I have butchered the spelling of that, but yeah, that's £4.49 a month. That seems a lot. And then a bin empty, don't know what that is. Empty, don't know what that is, but it costs them £18. So not sure. I've had a quick Google, can't find it. Then there's HP Inc, which is £1.99 a month. And then their phone, as in their like like mobile phone is £36.99, which shows me that that looks like an old contract there. It might be towards the end of the life of a contract there. Then we've got EDF Energy, which is where they get their electric from. So EDF Energy, and they do £89 a month for that. Internet costs them £35, which is pretty reasonable. TV license obviously is the same for everybody. TV license is £13.37, and then we have a bus pass, which is their means of transport, £83.50 a month. Pet insurance is £12.67, which I think is pretty much a bargain. And then council tax, which they get a reduced rate because of their situation, is £28.86. Then they have water, which they pay monthly, which is £15, so that might be subsidised as well. And then they have a Now TV subscription, which is £9.99, and then they say they pay groceries £200 a month, so about 50 quid a week. So what that comes up to is £1,445.14, which leaves them with £961.83. So that's quite a lot of bills, but let's do their envelopes. So there's no envelopes, essentially. So they've listed quite a lot of sinking funds. So they say they do their debt. So like basically all of these sinking funds, they do £5 a week into this. So their debt one, they say they do £20 a month. They do £5 a week, and when it gets up to £500, then they chuck it towards a debt. And then Christmas, they do £5 a week, so that's 20. Piano lessons, that's the same. Then they have save up for half term, which is really, really smart for like stuff to do with the kids when they get bored. Do that as well. Birthdays, the same. So these are pretty reasonable sinking funds, I think. Then there's school, which is 20 as well, like school, like uniform and stuff like that. And then there's holiday club, which is like stuff for like school holiday clubs. That's £20 as well. Then they give themselves £5 a week as well here for beauty, which comes up to 20. And then they do penny challenge. They said, unless I've read this wrong, the penny challenge, they say they do like £20 a week, which or something like that. So that's £60 a month they end up doing. And then they put away for like a top-up shop, like if they need to get like the expensive bits like oils and spices and stuff like that, they do £5 as well, which is 20. So all of that comes up to £240, which leaves them with £721.83. Okay, and then they've got debt. They've got quite a lot of different debts. So their debt minimums, and we'll definitely look into that. Their debt minimums are $659.61. When you take it away for that 700, that is $659.61, and that actually leaves them with $62.22. So they've got like, it's more difficult than what they need. So at the moment, their buffer with like just this for savings, not really moving towards their goals, their buffer is like 62.22, and they're saying that they spend that even. So the reason why I think they're spending it is because there's no sort of allocation for any spending money, and I think they're overspending on stuff that they really, really don't need. So the things I would potentially cut, so I would potentially cut Patreon, because like £12 is a lot of money in this budget. Bin cleaning, I don't think you need it. You might tell me different, but I don't think it's important. Obviously you got to pay rent. Breakfast Club is really important. Apple example is like that. Debt calculator, you don't need that. You can calculate that yourself. Bin empty, I'm not sure what it is, so I'm just going to say you don't need it. If I've never heard of it, it's probably something that you don't need. HB ink, unless you are printing masses of paperwork, you don't need that. Get rid of that. That's just like such wasted money. Your phone is your phone. I would definitely shop around to see if you can get different ones. See if you can reduce your internet costs. TV license is what it is. Bus pass is what it is. Pet insurance is what it is. Council tax is the same. Water, Now TV, I don't think you need that. You could even get Netflix, which is even cheaper, but I don't think you need that, honestly. So I would get rid of those, honestly, which would make your bills £1,375.18, yeah? And that would leave you with £1,031, yeah, £1,031.79. But I would introduce an envelope here for your spending, and I would give yourself £80, like as in £20 a week. But if Patreon's really, really important to you, take that 12 from that and eke it out that way. So that would be like, I think you'd end up with £17 a week, something like that, rather than 20. So it's only like £3 a week that it would cost you if you work it out like that. So yeah, that's what I would do. Just give yourself some money, because I think that's where this £62 is going, and probably why you feel like so stuck in it, because you're not treating yourself regularly enough. And when you're, you know, you've got kids that need you as much as they do, I think you need to do stuff like that and look after yourself. But anyway, that would leave you with £951.79. Okay, I like these sinking funds. However, I don't see any point in debt, so I would get rid of that one, and I'll tell you why. And penny challenge, you don't need to spend £60. I would just cut that one entirely, because like I wouldn't be saving up penny challenge with no plan for it. So if the plan for the penny challenge is to go on holidays, have a holiday sinking fund. But like, yeah, I'd just cut that out. So I would do that, and I'd cut out the debt one. I'll tell you why I would cut that debt out. So basically what you're doing is you're saving up all of this money for over a long period of time. If you've got the money to put a £5 towards debt, chuck it straight at that debt as and when you have it, because the more you throw at it, the less time it's accruing interest. So that £500 over the space of the 3, 4, 5 months that it's taken you to save that up, that could really reduce the overall time and the overall amount that you're paying off your debt. For the whole time that cash is sitting in a wallet, you're accruing interest on your debt, and there's no point. So I think if it was my money, I'd be putting a £5 a week towards my debt, or even better, £20 at the start of the month towards your debt, just to get it gone. I know it's fun and it's nice to throw money in an envelope, but literally you are wasting money by saving up to pay off a chunk of debt, because you are only paying off interest at that point. So I wouldn't do that. So I'd cut those two towards your sinking funds, but I'd keep the rest because I think they're really good. So instead of doing 240, it's now £160 a month, which leaves you with £791.79, yeah? Your minimums are your minimums with your debt, which is £659.61, but I would then introduce a debt snowball, and I've done this with you for the last 2 weeks in a row, but I think it's really important. I would make your snowball £90.39, which would mean that you're putting £750 to debt until it's gone, yeah? That would then leave you with £41.79. So what I would probably do with that is start up an emergency fund. And then potentially do like a slow burn to a holiday, and I'd do something like £20. Yeah, you don't have to do those, but those might be things you do once you've tackled the debt, but I would probably do that. It doesn't leave you with very much wiggle room in terms of a budget, but this is how I ran my budget when I first started, because if I had £40, I knew it was there and I would spend it. So we're going to look at this bit here, this debt snowball plan here, because I think this budget is reasonable. We'll come back to it towards the end, but what I want to do is explain why this debt snowball would work. So let's go ahead and get on another bit of paper. So in the past on these budget besties, I've done debt snowballs and I've done debt avalanches, but we're doing a true debt snowball. So we're looking at the snowball based off of the amount that you owe per lender rather than the interest and all of that. So there's a lot of debtors here. So I'm just going to quickly list them all now and then we'll get back together. Okay, so here are all the debts listed out. They are mostly to catalogs and less to credit cards, while there are still some in there. So the total debt is $16,108.63, and that's $659.61 just as like minimums each month. And what I want to show you is how predatory and how difficult it is to get out of debt when you're in with one of these catalogs. So let me just show you as an example a normal amount that you'd be paying back on, like, okay, so let's take this very one here. So it's how much you owe is £2,172.65, and what they want as a minimum is £125 each month, which is relatively reasonable. Yeah, you know, you'll pay that off relatively quickly and you'll have it paid off with not paying as much interest. But for a similar amount, even more, 2,336.62, all they want is 60. That is designed to keep you in debt as long as possible. If you only pay the minimums, I expect the interest rate on that is really, really high, and it's probably something like 50 quid extra. You might even be going further into debt every single month just by paying the minimums. That's how they keep making money off of you. So by only paying the minimums, that's how you stay in debt. But let's figure this out together. So your minimum is $659.61, but what I want you to do, or what I would do, is pay an extra £90.39, which makes it £750. So if you are paying £750 every single month for the whole time you've got this debt, you can get rid of it. So let's start with the Argos card, yeah? So first of all, you've got $11.75. When you add the £90.39, that gives you a payment fee of £102.14 per month, yeah? But your total amount that you owe is $223. So you'll have that gone in round about 2 months, yeah? Which is fantastic. So in 2 months' time, you would have paid off £15.82 from PayPal credit, which means that you would then owe, at that point, $207.57, yeah? So when you add up the $102.44 plus the $791, that means that you'll have a £110.05 will be your new snowball, yeah? You'll have that cleared in the next 2 months after that. So then when you move over to Fashion World, in 4 months' time, so 4 months' time from now, if you followed this plan, you would have paid off $66.72, which means that you'd have $326.68 left to pay. So you've got a snowball already of £110.05. When you add the $16.68 to it, you'll then have a snowball of $126.73, which means you'll have that paid off in 3 months. So it's all starting to get more and more and more. We haven't got to the big boys yet, but it's all starting to like work. So in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months time, you'd have cleared your top 3 debts, yeah? So by the time we get to the studio, see, they're asking for a reasonable amount, which is about 40 quid. In sort of like, after all of these have gone, you'd have paid off 277.76. So you'd only have 156.67 left to pay, depending on interest. So when you add this 126.73 to your 39.68, your new snowball is 149.73, and you'll clear that in a month. That will just clear the whole lot. So you're now 15 months down the line, and by the time you're there, by only paying £45 a month to Simply Be, you've paid off 675. Now, where the interest is going to be, I don't know, but assuming there's no interest, which I know there isn't, you will still have 1,173.93 left to pay off. But your debt snowball, once you add the 45 to the 290, then becomes 335.32. So you'll have it gone in 4 months. 19 months down the line, since you very first started, you're able to tackle your first debt that started off its life at 2,000. So I wouldn't actually do that very one. I would tackle the La Redoute one, because I think that is just not good, yeah? So by the time you're there, you'd have paid off 1,140, which means that you'd have 1,196.62 left to pay off. And this is the only time that I'd switch up the way you do it, just because they are very similar amounts that you owe, but one is being more predatory, one is asking for less money, one is asking for a lot more interest. So I would do this one first. But your snowball is 335.32 plus the 60. That then makes your snowball 395.32, and you'll have that gone in 3 months. Then I would get to Very, but by the time you paid £125 22 times, that's actually gone just by itself, just by paying the minimums, yeah? Based off of like no interest, yeah? And then what I would do is I would probably combine these two together, because by paying 111 and 100, you'd have paid off 2,442 and 2,200. So that's how much you would have paid off at that point. So what you'd have left over is £98 in your Little Woods, and in your Aqua you would have 533.46, which combined is 631.46. Now if you remember, your debt snowball is £750, so you would clear that in 1 month. So based off of no interest, you'd be debt free in about 23 months. Yeah, what I would probably do is I would really be working on this plan to get this done in 23 months. I'd get pen to paper and I would get rid of that debt calculator. But what I would also do is really think about, what did I actually buy with all of this? Because you've got 16 grand worth of kit now. I don't think you're wearing all of it. So I would get myself on Vinted. I would be selling the stuff that I don't need, don't want, my kid doesn't need or doesn't want, and using that money to pay off the debt, because it's this stuff that's got you in debt. So there's no shame, none of that. I mean, we all get in debt, and the pandemic did a number on all of us, but this is what I would do. So here's the budget, and I think it's gonna work. I mean, there's not much you can really change, but other than really reconsider, do I need my bins to be cleaned? Yes, it's only £3.50, and yes, it looks nice and it's lovely, but I mean, do you need to spend that? And when you take away these little bits, it's lots of little things that can really help. We get sucked into things like HP ink because we think, oh, it's only £2, but how much are you actually printing? Do you really need that? Because the average person doesn't need that at all. The only reason why I don't use HP ink, because they send you a cartridge and I think it's really wasteful. So, but I would benefit from that, but I don't think many other people would. So really consider what your outgoings are. And then, you know, this was a good plan for sinking funds, but I would always recommend never having a debt envelope, because if you have the money to put down towards your debt, the best place for that debt to be, the best place for that money to be is to go towards your debt as immediately as you had it, because the quicker you chuck that at your debt, the quicker or the less interest that you'll have to pay. So yeah, that's that. That's what I would do. I look forward to seeing you next week, bestie. Hi guys, gals and bypass, thank you so much for getting through to the end of the video. You know I love it when you get through to the end of the video. Please give this video some love. Make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe. And if you are going to comment, please use this emoji. I'd love to hear down in the comments if there's anything that you would do that is slightly different. There's all sorts of governmental things where you can get relief. And if you are finding yourself in a situation where you are barely keeping up, please make sure you speak to somebody. A lot of creditors will do things like suppress the interest rate for a certain amount of time, and it's always worth asking if they can do that for you. It allows you a bit of breathing room to pay off the debt as quickly as you possibly can, because my fear is that the interest rates on these debts are so high that it would feel like insurmountable to clear it down without tackling how many different levels of interest. It's not impossible, it can be done, bestie. Massive thank you to everybody who supports me, massive thank you to everybody who puts eyeballs on this videos, but a huge extra special thank you to the channel members and the patrons, because without you none of these videos are possible. I cannot express how much the support on Patreon means to me. That's why you get these credits coming down of this side or this side, can't remember, but you get them every single video because you are that special to me. If you would like to join them and support me over on Patreon, please take a look at the link in the description. You will not regret it, bestie. That is all we have for this week. I hope to see you next week for a new budget, bestie. Until then, I would like you to have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and have a wonderful budget. Always remember, don't trust Ira. And bestie, I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.